Shalom and welcome to Make Time for Jewish Learning with Noga Cohavi. Jewish literacy is a key condition to Jewish peoplehood. I'm not saying that it is the only condition, just that it is a key condition. If you are not comfortable with this statement, there is nothing wrong with you. It just proves that you belong to the Jewish people, the most argumentative people on earth. This is precisely how Jews study. We argue, we practice shakla v'tarya, we negotiate ideas, opinions, and texts. This statement is leading us to the title of our lesson, Make Time for Jewish Learning, or better in Hebrew, Likboa Itim. The reciprocal influence between Israel and world Jewry and their common ground, stormy as it may be, create a unique body. In order to comprehend how it works, one should not grant a leading status to universal research methods. Judaism is so unique that it requires its own set of tools. Judaism is staggeringly tested in Zionist sovereignty and in cross-continental Jewish peoplehood. The struggle for Israel's security and its social resilience, as well as the wrestling on its moral character, influence both Israelis and world Jewry. At the same time, diaspora dynamics have impact on the people living in Israel. A good way to get the best out of this reality is to schedule limud Yehudi, Jewish learning. A Hebrew expression I choose to use here is tzeh ulmad, meaning go out and learn. This good advice that we inherited from our wise ancestors implies that scholarly and morally, you can grow only if you open the door to new interactions. Almost 3 decades ago, during one of my visits to American Jewish day schools, I sat down for a cup of coffee with a Jewish teacher. Noga wanted to know, do you have any affiliation? I was stunned, as he just asked me about my electoral preference. I do not wish to discuss my political views, was my answer. Who is talking about politics, said More Joel. I'm talking about your Jewish affiliation. Are you Reform, Conservative, Reconstructionist? Ladies and gentlemen, for me, it was almost an identity crisis. You see, until that moment, I did not know I was expected to add a hyphen and an adjective to my Jewishness. Anyways, that simple cup of coffee talk encouraged me to learn as much as possible about how American Judaism evolved, how it has influenced the Jewish world, and about its importance to my life as an Israeli educator. My second story was a newcomer, Ola Chadasha. She was a teacher under my supervision, and in one of the new teachers' meetings, I asked her if she wanted to share a childhood memory of a Jewish song. I don't remember any Jewish song from my childhood, she replied. Our home was extremely secular. Oh, come on, I insisted. You must have heard something. If not from your parents, perhaps from your grandparents. Her eyes lit and she said, I don't know if it's Jewish, but my grandmother used to sing something in Ladino. Los bilbilicos cantan, suspiran del amor. Sounds familiar? Of course. צור מי שלא אכלנו, ברכו אמוני. To make a long story short, that teacher, who back then had very little knowledge about Jewish texts, is now teaching Judaic studies, and I decided to incorporate items of Ladino culture in the syllabus. These stories exemplify the idea of tzeh ulmad, get out of yourself in order to learn. Following personal experiences like these I've just shared with you, professional discussions and disputes with educators in Israel and the diaspora, following dozens of meetings with peers in New York, San Francisco, Berlin, Istanbul, Moscow, and other places, there was at least one thing we Jewish educators agreed upon. Jewish literacy is a gateway to Jewish peoplehood. Shabbat Shalom.